Hello everyone, this is William. I'm going to show you what our projects are and why you would actually want to use them. So firstly, I'll explain what they are by opening just RStudio. So the reason you would want to use an R project is so you can keep your data clean and you don't have one R script which is a million lines of code long, where you can keep your, for example, a script which does your loading of your libraries separate from, for example, you can see here I've actually have one already. For example, I have one that is separate for your packages. There's a separate one that does functions. There's a separate one which is your data set, and other ones like transformations. This is a previous project which I've done before, and this is a name. So I'll show you how to create one. So firstly, let's go to new file and we'll go to create new project. So you can either make a completely new one or you can use a folder that's already in your computer. So if you've been using R for a very long time, then you might have a folder that's full of R projects, but I'm just going to assume you are recently new to R and RStudio. So I'm just going to go to new directory. So go to new project, and so you can either give it a name. So for example, I've actually made one in my C drive called new, and I've actually made one called project 1. So I'm just gonna, instead of doing that, I'm just gonna go to back and just use that, and I'm just gonna call this project 2. So I'll give you an example. So I'll start brand new and look the same. So for example, if I go to my folder where I created it, you'll see this is my C drive, R projects. So no, that's not this one. Oh yeah, here, new. And you see there's actually now a new folder. So inside there, you can actually put data sets or you can load them. For example, this is a complete new one, so there's nothing actually in there. So I'm just going to copy some data sets which I use all the time. So for example, this is a video games one, and I'm just going to go back up and I'm just going to put it in there. So let's see, what did I call again, new, and I'm just going to put it in there. So as you can see, you automatically load it up there. So for example, let's say I want to create a new script. So for example, firstly, you want to load your packages. So I want to save this as my packages file. So I'm just going to call this packages. Yeah, and as you can see here, this is your directory. And you can create a main file, which is the one that you'll be working on all the time. So let's call this our main R script and just give it a name. Save as. So every time you actually open up your R project, you'll just need to open your main, or you can call it whatever you want. So let's go back to packages. What you would usually do, let's say I will be using ggplot, and I'm assuming you have actually this installed, and let's say just any other package which I use often. So this will be your main folder, you'll actually have to refer it to load this package first. So to do that, you actually you type in this source and type in packages .r. And let's say in our next step, usually we would have one R file, which we'll be using, but this is an R project. So let's say our next one is to read our CSV. So let's say our data is read.csv, and so it's actually already here. So we just call it vg sales.csv. So you'll just run it, and it should already load the packages. So let's see if it actually loaded those packages. Oh yeah, it's because I haven't saved it. So let's run this again. As you can see, you would load it. So this actually has to be within your directory here. So it just makes you it makes your code look much more neater than instead of having library, ggplot, library, dplyr, library, titer, library, whatever. And let's say we are going to use this data set. So as you can see, I didn't actually have to define where it is in my computer, so I didn't have to put like C colon slash whatever. It already knows it's in here. So let's say I had another R file which does, let's call this create new columns, or we'll call it anything really, transformations. So save as. So we just open up this one, and let's say I'm just going to quickly look at my data set. Okay, let's see what would be really interesting to say. Okay, let's say just briefly I want to create a new column which is global sales times 2. Just nothing complicated. So firstly, you'll have to have your data loaded first before you can do any more. So you do source, and we call it transformations. So right now there's actually nothing in there. So you'll just do, for example, we'll create a new column, data, new, and this is actually called, so this one will just be data, and we're just going to call it global sales multiplied by 2. And just remember to save that, or you can save them all at the same time. So saving all of them will just be this one. So let's say we just cleared everything, and we'll go step by step. So this is another neat shortcut if you don't know. To clear this, you just hold Control and you press L if you're using a PC. So yeah, so let's check if it's actually loaded those packages. ggplot, I believe and also did dplyr. Yep, it's loaded. And by the way, you do not have to do this line by line. I'm just showing you how it works. So you can select them all and run them all at the same time. So okay, let's see. Right now there's 11 variables. So let's see if it actually works. As you can see, now there's 12 variables. There's a new one. So this is just this number multiplied by 2. So if we had done this the old-fashioned way without an R project, you'd have to do, firstly, if I'm assuming you have already installed these, you'll be doing ggplot, and then you'll be doing library dplyr, and then you'll be doing your data, which is equal to read.csv or read_csv, depending which one you use. You'll actually have to tell it the directory where it is, so it'll be like C for me, data vg sales.csv, and then you'll have to create a new column, data new equals data global sales multiplied by 2. And this could quickly add up if you're loading multiple libraries, doing multiple transformations. So you can have one, for example, that does functions, etc. But that I'll get into another chapter. So this is actually, and you can actually access all these folders, these files in your wherever you stored them. So wherever you create them. So I created it here, went to new, and it was just this one, as you can see. And you can just copy and paste any other CSVs that you need inside there, so you don't have to type in where they are. So it just keeps your all of this nice and clean. So make sure you save them all. So in the future, let's say I close this by restart. Let's say I'm just going to close this again and restart it, and I'll show you. So let's say the next time you come back, you open it. So I'm just going to clear everything, make sure there's nothing there, check no packages are loaded, dplyr is not loaded, ggplot, okay, it's not loaded. Okay, so as you can see, these are already here because I've made it load up all these packages automatically. I'm sorry, all these files. So let's say next time you open it, it's like this. And let's say you want to open up your project, you just got open project, or if you have recently used it, it'll be recent projects. For me, since I just created this, it'll be right here, and you'll create a new session. And if you go to your files, it should still be there. So for example, even your history is there, so everything you've written in your console is also there for you to see. And let's say I only need to, this is all I need because I've already written all my transformations, loading of my packages or libraries, and transformations, etc. So next time, just run that, and it just makes it nice and clean. Instead of having 10,000 lines of code, now it's just have 3. So just remember, because sometimes you need to load more than several libraries, and you'll spend a lot of time scrolling down if you just use one R script. So thank you for your time. This is William, and I'll get into more things that you can do with RStudio in the future. That is all.